Okay, everyone, it's 6 o'clock. So this is we'll go ahead and get started here. This is the Western Ingersoll Run Sewer Separation Phase 3. My name is Steve Neighbor. I'm the city engineer for the city of Des Moines, also Des Moines resident. I've got a handful of team members with me of city staff, including Dave Camp, Justin Miller, who's the project manager, Tom Block, Jeff Wiggins, and Patrick Bean from our Public Works Department as well. So a number of team members to help answer questions as well. So we're going to give a brief presentation, and then we'll have a period for questions, answers, and comments. And so again, this is a public meeting for the Western Ingersoll Run Sewer Separation Phase 3. Appreciate everyone joining us virtually. We found during the pandemic that this has been a valuable tool to have virtual meetings. One, this meeting is actually being recorded, so if a family, friend, or colleague or neighbor did not get it, was not able to attend the meeting, we are recording this, and we will post this on our website, and so along with more information. We'll show you how to find that a little later. And so thank you again for joining us. Again, if a couple how to operate Zoom. Hopefully you see a menu bar either at the top or bottom of your screen that looks kind of like this. This black menu bar with mute, stop video, participants, some of these options. If you click on participants, it hopefully will give you some more options, such as raising your hand, and you can see here the option, or lowering your hand, and then unmuting and mute yourself as well. And so we ask that in order to kind of run the meeting in an orderly fashion, that if you do have a question, please raise your hand. Again, we'll give a presentation first, and then that way at the end we'll have a question and answer period, and that's when we'll ask you to raise your hands for questions, comments. If you're on a phone, and I'm not seeing anybody, not sure if I'm seeing anybody on a phone or not right now, but if you're on a phone and you don't have this menu bar, obviously, please press *9 to raise your hand. Again, that's *9 to raise your hand if you're on a phone, and then to unmute yourself is *6. Okay, so *9 to raise your hand and *6 if you're on a phone and listening on the meeting. So that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, this is the Western Ingersoll Run Sewer Separation Phase 3. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on the project, and then Dave Camp is going to, who's our chief design engineer, will cover kind of more in detail, go through the improvements and talk about our schedule for this project. All right, so background, combined sewer systems, which is what we're here to address. Combined sewer systems are sewers that are designed to collect stormwater, rainwater runoff, as well as domestic sewage and industrial wastewater, all in the same pipe. Okay, most of the time, these combined sewers transport all their wastewater to the wastewater treatment plant, where it's treated and then discharged into in our case, back to the Des Moines River. However, during periods of heavy rainfall or snowmelt, the wastewater volume in a combined system with the amount of stormwater coming in can exceed the capacity of the sewer system. And for this reason, combined sewer systems are designed to overflow. And in this case, for example, if the sewers in the area we're talking about tonight, there is what we call a combined sewer overflow, where the combined sewer flowage would come out the overflow and go into a separate system that goes directly into the Des Moines River. And so that's obviously not a good thing at all from an environmental standpoint. The reason we do that is because we would rather have it, to be honest, overflow into the combined overflow system rather than surcharge back into basements, for example. So that's why the system is where it is. Combined sewers are not uncommon. Combined sewers are very common, actually, in many river cities. I mean, there's 14 combined sewer systems in Iowa, and there's probably almost 800 in the United States. So it's a common situation. But the city of Des Moines, we've developed a long-term control plan in cooperation with the Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority, as well as the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, with and entered into a consent decree that basically has targets of eliminating the combined sewer overflows in a manner that in 2000, the year 2000, there was 20 combined sewer overflows in the city of Des Moines. And our goal is to get that down to 1 by the end of 2023. And so here's kind of the remaining ones that are the more recent ones that were in the process of closing, including this one at 22nd and High, at the intersection of 22nd High there. That combined sewer overflow is the focus of this area we're working on eliminating. And then the only one that would be remaining after we're all done would be the one at that's labeled as number 4 there. So again, we've developed a plan to eliminate these, including this one at 22nd and High, by building a separate sewer system that will handle the stormwater. So the sanitary sewer system would stay as it is. You know, your service pipes would still connect to that sewer. It's just we would be actually removing. So right now, the stormwater intakes that you see out in the street and collecting stormwater, they go to the same, likely go to the same system that is going from a sanitary sewage, from a domestic sewage. And so we will be removing those intakes from the combined sewer and putting them on a separate storm sewer system so that it obviously reduces the amount of flow going in those systems. So that's the goal of the project, is to separate the stormwater and sanitary flows and reduce the flow, which also reduces the flow down that's sent down to the wastewater treatment facility, and then also prevents combined sewer overflows, which are obviously not preferable from an environmental standpoint. So again, as I mentioned, here's the one we're looking at right here for this project. Here's what we call the Western Ingersoll Basin, the Ingersoll Run Basin. And this is actually one of the last basins we're targeting that we're on the last phase of our plan. And so it's actually kind of divided into 2 areas, divided by Interstate 235. It's an 820 acre basin. Here's kind of your boundaries: 31st Street on the east, 45th on the west, University and Forest Avenue on the north, and then Grand Avenue on the south. So that's our when we talk about the Western Ingersoll drainage basin, that's what we're referring to. Whoops, I thought we had. Nope. Okay, and so in terms of where we are, we broke the project up into 3 phases. And so here's a map that shows those phases. Phase 1 shown in yellow, which includes installing sewers along Ingersoll Avenue, which is currently under construction. That's anticipated to be completed the middle of next year, 2023. So I know that construction we've all been dealing with right now, and you can see that shown in yellow. Phase 2, that construction is also anticipated to be complete by mid next year. What we're here to talk about tonight is phase 3. Okay, phase 3, looking at 35th Street up to Center, Grand Avenue, and then 36th Street. So that's shown in blue here. This is the phase we're talking about tonight. So again, yellow and green have already been awarded, yet they're already under construction. And so those are targeted to be completed by the middle of next year in 2023. We're here tonight to talk about the design of phase 3 so we can move forward with bidding and constructing that project. So here's kind of a more closer map of phase 3. The green is showing where the sewers are actually going to be going. So you can see there's a system that will go up 35th Street, branch out on Center, and also on Woodland. And there's a system that goes up 36th and branches up to Grand Avenue. So all tying into the sewers that are being installed right now on Ingersoll Avenue. And this kind of shows a conceptual breakdown of how phasing, again, we generally don't want the contractor to rip up the entire neighborhood all at once. And so typically they work from downstream to upstream. So again, you'd likely start on 35th down toward Ingersoll and work your way up and then hit the branches, and then also do the same, work up 36th Street and then down Grant Avenue. So it's kind of an idea of how staging might work. Again, we do not have a construction contractor on board, so that staging could alter a little bit once we have a contractor, but generally that's what we see how it would go. So when we reconstruct streets, so when we install these sewers down the streets, that often gives us an opportunity. We're tearing up the street anyway, so we would rebuild the street, obviously. In some cases where the sewer is smaller and we could isolate it, we would just patch the street. Other cases, we might need to fully reconstruct the street. In the case of 35th Street, with its condition and also putting the sewer down the road, that gives us an opportunity to reconstruct the street. And so let me see if I have a zoomed up here version. Here we go. Okay, so if we look at when we reconstruct a street, that also gives us a chance to look at, well, how do we want the street to go back? Okay, so in the case of 35th Street right down by Ingersoll, and that approach, currently there are only 4-foot sidewalks on the west side, and it's a 3-lane section, 12-foot lanes. And on the city's transportation master plan, 35th Street is recommended for a primary bike route. And so this would be an opportunity. One, we still would keep the 3 travel lanes, but then add 6-foot bike lanes and also widen the sidewalks to 6 feet. Again, we're talking specifically about 35th Street, right along the Price Chopper, right down by Ingersoll, just that stretch down there. So again, still would stay 3 lanes, but we'd widen the sidewalks and add the bike lanes here on this section, since we're putting the sewer and reconstructing the road. Okay. Okay, and then this is just kind of a close-up of how it might be constructed. If we continue to move to the north, obviously there's not the turn lane, the left turn lane as you go north right up along the Price Chopper building. So in that case, the 2 lanes, which are currently 2 13-foot wide lanes, would be changed to 10-foot wide lanes, which is more typical of a residential type street. And then that way we can add in the 6-foot bike lanes to keep our bike facilities. So again, the bike lanes being added on 35th Street between Ingersoll and Woodland is what the cross section would be put back as, since we're tearing up the street. So this is kind of a graphic that shows in green where the storm sewers are going, and then you can see the bike lane, and then the asphalt pavement, and then the new sidewalks would be put in as well. And so in our case, the bike lanes would be in concrete. The street would be fold up asphalt. So kind of making it feel, again, more of that residential type feel, more tighter corridor, so. Okay. And then as we go north, the north section of 35th all the way up to Rollins would generally stay, it would still stay 2 lanes. We would add, with the restrictions of the parkway and right of way, we would be adding a bike lane only for the northbound. So going up the hill, the bicyclists would still have to share the travel lanes as they do today for southbound. So again, the roadway would still be 2 lanes, and so not much would change in the right of way, the sidewalks and parkway. So. And then this map just shows again in green the storm sewers, as well as the street, and again we talked about the concrete bike lane. So on the east side of the road for the northbound traffic. And that goes all the way up 35th Street. So you can see here, we do anticipate, since we're reconstructing the road, that we would get that we would have to rebuild the driveway aprons. So if you're a resident who lives along the street, the driveway pavement between the sidewalk and the roadway, you'd be looking at getting a new driveway apron to accommodate their street reconstruction in the storm sewer. And then we also look at, for sidewalk purposes up here at the intersections, and improving the sidewalk curb ramps to make sure that they are depressed in a manner that also meets the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So again, as we keep going north, this is just a plan view showing this is kind of generally between Pleasant and Center Street. Again, the bike lane and concrete on the east side, the storm sewer running underneath the road, new asphalt pavement and driveway aprons. And that takes the sewer all the way up to Center Street. And this, Dave, is all right if I transition to you? I think I've already maybe swiped some of your slides, I think, but so I apologize for that.
Oh, you're doing fine. You're doing just fine. So yeah, I can jump in here. And this is just stepping through up to Center Street, and that's the north end of the storm sewer system. It'll branch off to Center Street, but we actually, on the next slide, will continue the pavement reconstruction all the way to Rollins, just due to pavement condition itself. We are looking at it not necessarily ending the bike facility at this location, but we are looking at adjusting pavement markings as we move up 35th Street to the north, all the way to University. We have not, we're just looking into that and trying to incorporate that into this if we can. So, but this slide kind of jumps over on as we talked about the side streets, the storm sewer that would run along the side streets. This is over at 36th Street and Woodland. There's some storm sewer intakes we need to separate. So you can kind of see there's a group of intakes to catch at 36th Street, and those will run and flow downhill toward 35th Street on the next slide. And those connect to the trunk line along 35th Street. So kind of give you an idea. The idea along Woodland would be being a relatively smaller sewer. We're looking at probably replacing the pavement on the north side of the street, but then milling and overlaying on the south side of the street. So when we're done, we'll have a nice pavement, but yet not having the entire road tore up the entire time. So on the next one, we jumped up to Center Street, up at 37th and Center. The same scenario, we're capturing some intakes in that area and bringing those over along the south side of Center. Same concept, just patching that location and milling and overlaying the north side of the street. But as we traverse to the next slide, continuing east, we pick up a group of intakes at 36th Street, and then continuing on over to connecting to 35th Street. This slide, I'm going to reorient you a little bit, and we're jumping down to that other section of the project between Grand Avenue and Ingersoll. And this one is along 36th Street. And so we're looking at Grand Avenue is on your left-hand side, and running a sewer down to the north to where we tie in at, not quite to Ingersoll. We're going to bring the storm sewer from the current phase 1 project and stub out just south of Ingersoll, and we'll connect in there. It is a very steep street, and so you'll see a number of manholes to try and keep the grade of the sewer not so deep. And we're looking at replacing the entire roadway due to the current pavement condition, leaving the curbs where they're at, and trying not to get into the sidewalk at all through this section as well. So this is the section along Grand Avenue, and we jumped way over to the west end of the project at 40th Street. There's a few intakes we need to pick up at 40th and Grand, and we're going to pick those up, and then we're finding a path along Grand Avenue between all the utilities and the other sanitary sewers. So Grand Avenue will essentially become more or less a patching job along the, we think we'll find a spot in the south lane of Grand Avenue, but it won't be a full reconstruction of Grand. As we move to the east, we'll pick up these intakes at 39th Street, and then we'll continue on to the east, and this will connect over, keep sliding. There's 37th Street. We're going to pick some cross runs up across the street as well. And then this sewer will outlet to that storm sewer that we constructed along 36th Street down to Ingersoll. There is a small intake we need to pick up just east of here, but relatively speaking, these are smaller sewers, not as deep, but it can get deep here at this location. So so these are just some example photos of what to expect during construction. The pavement, once we remove the pavement, they'll install the storm sewer in that second picture. Once they get the storm sewer installed, they'll grade it back and put a rock sub base down, getting ready to pave. And then you can, down in the left-hand corner, you'll see the roadway paving process. Some will be concrete, some will be asphalt. And then we would come back, put the sidewalks in, and then restore the area with either sod or seed. And so we don't want to sugarcoat this job as being, oh, it's going to be very impactful for a lot of the residents and the commuters through the area. I think you can see that down along Ingersoll. We're in very established neighborhoods, and so we will try and maintain access to the residents as much as possible to the driveways. But there will be durations based on what is occurring that you will not be able to have access back to your drive for periods of time, such as when we're installing the storm sewer directly in front of the driveway, or when we're actually paving the street. So so we ask for your patience through these projects, and hope at the end we'll have a very nice product that everybody will be happy with after we're done. So kind of going through real quick the scheduling that we touched on earlier. Phase 1 there in the yellow has been bid, and it's been under construction. We're looking to complete that in 2023. We'll probably have a winter shutdown this winter here soon, and we'll kind of close everything up. Phase 2 up in the green area, that was bid out this past spring, and we are looking to complete construction in the spring of 23 as well. And then the phase 3, we're looking to bid that out this coming spring, this current one we're talking about, starting construction next year, and then completing the entire project by the end of 2023. So that gives you an idea of the timeframes. So if you have questions, this is Justin Miller's contact information. He is the project manager on the job, and he will be managing the design and construction of it. So he will have a lot of the information to answer any of your questions as well, as you, even after this after this meeting, if you remember, oh, I should have asked something, you can always contact Justin. So
just for those on the phone, Justin's phone number is 515-283-4933. Again, it's 515-283-4933. Email is jwmiller@dmgov.org. So jwmiller@dmgov.org. So please, again, if you think of any questions even after this, or comments, don't hesitate to contact Justin. He's the project manager. We also can find on our city webpage under dsm.city, and then go to engineering department projects and studies. You'll find the Western Ingersoll run sewer separation project, and there'll be more information, including this presentation as well. So with that, I know we kind of threw a lot at you there, but again, I've got a handful of team members with me to help answer questions. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Let me see if I can go back to the instruction page here. Again, if I can ask that you raise your hand, oops, get to it, by clicking on the participants pad, and then your name. If you go to your name, it should give you options to raise your hand. Okay, we'll start with Ian. Let me see if I can get, okay, Ian.
Yep, I just had a question about if you will have another public meeting to discuss the final phasing of the project.
So in terms of the construction phasing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that we would have one to discuss the final phasing. Again, our next steps would be, let me go back to the schedule here. Sorry if I'm flipping through the slides, but there was so again, we're looking at bidding the project in the spring and starting construction in the summer. And then what we typically do is when it gets down to detailed phasing, when we get to a particular street, Justin and city staff will actually send direct mailings to folks on the corridor with the specifics on, hey, this block will be under construction, these blocks will be under construction. And now, Dave, if you had any other comments on that.
Yeah, and I was going to mention the door hangers. We provide that detailed information to those along the corridor and those directly affected. On the 35th Street, you'd see like changeable message signs kind of telling the people driving through, when it'll be kind of close to through traffic. But that level of detail will probably be provided to you either through mail or a door hanger on your residence.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we generally have been trying to have the public meetings like early in the design phase, just in case, comments received or things that could actually change our design. We found it to be better. But in general, I mean, the storm sewers pretty much going to go where it needs to. I mean, this is the flow path, heading downhill here, down 35th. That's where the main line is. And so that won't change too much. So, again, once we get through into the construction phases and we actually have the contractor on board and we know when they will start, that's when we'll do the mailings and or the door hangers mailings and changeable message signs.
The city will also have a construction inspector on site during the construction project. So you'll be able to ask them the very specific questions as well. So you'll have a representative on site from the city as well for day-to-day questions too. So.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Okay, other questions, comments? Okay, Becky.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you. This was very informative and it was nice to follow along, and I'm glad it's being recorded so I can go back to some of it. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Becky. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Linda.
Yes, we're at the 12-story building at 3663 Grand, which the garage opens up onto 36th Street as well as Grand. And some of our folks are concerned about, will we be landlocked and not be able to get out? So you can see, yeah, almost there. So Grand Manor is what is right there that you're circling. So if you go a little bit more to your right, it's the lower garage is there. And then the upper garage, you can either come out the 36th Street entrance or onto Grand. Are you going to make sure that we can get out? I mean, there's 100 people that live in our building. Are you sure we can get out at some point in time?
Yeah, so the along this stretch of 36th Street, it is there's a lot of high density residents through this area.
Mhm.
There's one on the east side as well. There's a lot of folks that park on the east side. So that's something we've been looking at in terms of method of construction, for a longer duration. So tell me again how I'm looking at you want me to
Put the
pull
map
up
back up.
Let me see if I can pull.
yeah, there you go. I was going to pull
Okay,
that up.
yeah, so you see that big building in the left side, that's West Grand Towers. And then just to the top of the picture is our garage. And so people who park on the upper level can come out of that building at the top of the screen, straight out. We can either go out to 36th or we can go down to Grand around the Circle Drive. Then again, the top building that our garage, people who park on the lower level really don't have a lot of options. They only can come out 36th Street. So, at least we have two options to come out. We're not a problem. We're also the building that is putting on a new roof. We have a crane, and our neighbors over to the west, which is not in that picture, 3667, they only have one way in and out of their garage. And so, even with our crane and all of the stuff we have for doing our roof stuff, 3667 has had a challenge, but we will have some too. Hopefully you're not going to close off 36th and Grand at the same time.
No, that wouldn't,
Mhm.
and that's kind of part of what this meeting is for, is to kind of talk about, the plan would be is you would finish 36th Street and then finish that and then move on to the next road, such as Grand. So,
And Linda, just so I can understand, so I'm sorry, I don't know why the numbers aren't turning off here, but in this building right here is the lower level entrance. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Is it right here?
I cannot see your cursor. So look at the top of the screen, that big gray square, and then you see three cars. To come out of the lower level, they come straight out onto 36th Street.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That makes sense. Now I'm sorry. I was thinking that the entrance was over here, kind of by the red car and there's kind of
Use
two
your,
cars that are spaced.
Well,
It's actually directly off of 36, and that's the only way you can get out of that lower level, huh?
Right. Now, if there were no cars parked, I guess they could really make a very hard right turn and maybe then get out through Grand. But actually, see the white roofed building down in the lower right hand corner, lower right hand corner, that's Grand Manor, two different buildings there. And all of their parking is kind of in that square. It's all surface parking. There's no garage parking there. So we kind of have to go through their parking area if we come out of the lower level. And we can turn and go to 36th, or we can come down between the buildings, make a turn to the west and go under the portico you see there.
do you see that, Steve?
Yeah, this is where and Dave and Justin will have to look at how the sewer is staged here to try and, I mean, maybe they could kind of make sure at least like a portion of, like, I'm not saying do it half at a time, but, half the
Yes.
drive at a time, or, it
We would
be one
like you to carefully consider how you do that, because of us in 3663, 100 people, and all our garage spaces, Grand Manor right there in the corner. And then, as I said, to the left of the screen or to the west is 3667, and they can only use, it's not on your screen, they can only use one, and it's a dead end. So even the garbage trucks, even with our roof project, we had to go through all of this with the garbage trucks coming in and out. There you go. Now you can see the 3667. So they come from Grand straight down. We call it the west side, past all those cars. That was taken before the crane was put up. And so that little square building, now I can see your cursor, keep going a little bit to the left. They have to come down to that garage there. And they don't have any other place to go.
So Grand will be, Grand, let me see if I can get to the, here we go. So here is, I don't know if you can see now I'm not sharing the right screen. So the sewer in Grand will be in the south lane.
Okay.
So the access points off of Grand shouldn't be as much of an issue because those lanes will be open. There probably will be lengthy times where it's head-to-head traffic in the north lanes. So
Okay.
instead of 2 lanes going westbound, there would be 1 lane going westbound and then 1 lane going eastbound. And then basically from what's now the double yellow all the way south will be tore up, or be used for construction and building the sewer. So these access points shouldn't be as much of an issue, but this one over here, as you mentioned, these 3 cars right here, that one is one we're going to have to work with the contractor and stage it to keep that access. And again, I don't know if that's being creative, like you said, and somehow working with this property owner so that they could make a hard right and go up to the Grand portion, or is it somehow staging the sewer construction in a manner that, maybe it's, you get the sewer up to here and then, so that way half of the entrance is open, or, some sort where it'll be tight. But so that's just something we're gonna have to work through with the contractor but I really, really appreciate this information because this is exactly why we hold these, because so we can try and learn
I think if you could do the second option, do half of it, and let people get out, because it's not just us. It is the people there at Grand Manor there too. They're parking that kind of square there.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Linda. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Carlos. See if I can find.
Okay. Hello, Stephen. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you very much for the very thorough explanation. This is a very well put together presentation. I think I have a concern that many of us will have is like, I'm on the 35th. I'm just north of Ingersoll, and I can see from my window all the work you guys have been doing in front of Walgreens and all that part. So I can see what I expect. So my main concern is like once you start in this part where we are people living and have to drive to work, and I imagine you will break the whole street. So for how long do you anticipate at a time like that we will not be able to get out from our driveway? Like I know it's kind of early, but just like a ballpark number. And if you can share some suggestions on how to minimize the impact we will have, I would really appreciate it.
Okay. And Carlos, just to be, so yeah, that's a very good question. So 35th Street, that one is proposed as a full reconstruct. Dave, do you want me to just flip over to the plan sheets or stay on the aerial? I mean, I can toggle back and forth between.
Probably just the aerial's fine going up.
Okay, because some of the 35th, like the sewer that goes up the northbound eastern lane, is being done as part of the phase that's currently under construction, right? But they have not gone up there yet.
They've gone up from they've gone from the middle of the block down to Ingersoll. So,
Okay.
So
So at least half of that is part of that is done. But then
So
obviously as we continue north, as we go up to then obviously there's going to be a sewer that needs to be installed down the east side of the road along the curb line, right? So
now the issue we ran into with the current project that you're looking out there was one of the 16-inch gas mains along that. So that's a really big gas main was located in the wrong place. And that's what was such a delay to that project. So that what you saw in that particular situation was a little more extensive time frame of being under construction than what we would anticipate. So to give you a kind of a rule of thumb, not to be exact, but just an idea, is usually we can get everybody back into their residence during the sewer installation, except for we kind of tell folks, expect about 2 weeks when you can't get back into your driveway. That way, at least we don't tell you 1 week and it ends up being 2 weeks. We always strive to get folks back in now you might be driving through a construction site, but at least you can get back to your residence. And then during the paving operation, we try and limit that time frame where we're doing the grading and the paving to about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the extent of what we're doing. So rule of thumb, I usually try and tell folks there'll be a time frame that you won't be able to get to your driveway about 2 weeks, and then later when we do the finishing paving, because if you think about it, we need to pave the street, and then we still need to do your driveway approaches, and that takes a little bit of time as well, and for the concrete to cure. And so that's kind of a rule of thumb time frame.
Okay, just to finish my question, so how in advance would you let us know that you will be blocking the driveway so we can take the measures?
So usually when we award the contract and we start to get out there, we'll put a door hanger up on your, it'll be a couple months in advance that we'll say, we're coming, or a month in advance saying, hey, we're headed to your neighborhood. And then we usually try and give you about a 2-week notice before we even start construction on your specific location. And then from there, a lot of the contractors, even though they gave you that time frame, a lot of the contractors and the inspectors will knock on your door and tell you, hey, we're getting close, make sure you're out in a few days. So there's a progression, and I think that on-site construction inspector really helps bridge that communication gap, so you don't get surprised one day and you come home and you can't get to your driveway. So you'll know days in advance that you won't be able to access your driveway.
Okay, I see. Thank you, David.
Okay. And Dave, is the main screen back on right now, or the presentation back on? Okay.
Yes, presentation is back.
Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Okay. All right, any other questions? Let me see if I can get back to. Okay, yep, Becky?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Is our little, that 624 35th Street, will we be the only business that affects when you close down right in front of our access to our driveway, 624 35th Street? Like the homes, is that like up on west of 42nd Street? So we've got clients that have, they've just parked on back streets, right? Is that what, I mean, homes, the people that live in some of those homes when they've been not being able to get into their driveways. What will we do as a small business? Are we gonna have to have people park on side streets and try to walk to us, or I wonder?
So, Becky, just to clarify, are you at the northwest corner of Woodland and 35th?
We are at the, we're not at the corner. We're right across from Price Chopper. And
Right across from the access from Price Chopper.
Exactly. On the 35th Street access of Price Chopper, 624. And we just have the one, it's a house that we've, put our business in. And so I'm just curious, I know I could have waited and called Justin, but I just, as you're talking about it, I think I'd a little bit of heads up. I wonder what our options will be.
Switch
So
over here.
it is one question would be is for your business, do you this is something you can kind of talk to Justin about but would you need business signs, or does all of your clients know where you are? Or
We get all of our clients know, but we get some walk-in traffic, and we get, in fact, that's funny because I've said I need them to, up until what they've done so far right in front of our drive. I've said I should have some signs made up at Woodland and different places that they can get into our driveway. Up until now, people start to come down 35th Street and like, oh, you can't even get in into their drive, but it looked that way because that's where the project has gone right up to our driveway so far. But so this is going to be a tough one, isn't it? When it's our turn to be shut down. I don't know.
So that is one thing we can look at signage for one, but that the parking question is a good question. Having a business.
A lot of our clientele is older and like they're not going to be able to park on a side street. And I mean, we have, this is what I've been curious about this whole time. And I'm like, I'm getting scared. It'll work out. I know it'll work out, but it's not going to be very handy, is it? But it has to be done. But
and like we said, these are very impactful projects. Yes. So,
right. So I figure if you build me a little bridge or a tunnel, then I can get over and get those people so you can pick them up.
Hey, Becky, and I apologize. Which one? You're at 624. Is that right?
You're right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my driveway, and then our parking is just behind it. See that? Yeah. I just don't. That's Walgreens will be open by that time because their access or whatever to their parking lot from the 35th Street, people have been cutting through now since they've got some of that asphalt laid down and stuff. So I don't know if we'll have to do something with Walgreens and say, can we work out a deal, or I just don't know what we'll do, but like I said, we'll figure something out, I guess. But
And one thing to kind of mention to Justin is there any, when we look at putting the some of the driveways back, are there any days you are not open? And those are things you might communicate back to Justin too, is to help us stage that a little bit. If there are days you are not open, that might help us.
Yeah. But, so signage and Sunday's the only day that we aren't open. And yep, that's okay. well, I could talk to Justin more too, like you said, but there's not gonna be I wasn't sure when this next phase was, but we've got some time to think about it and figure something out. So,
It looks like, Dave, this is the drive, right? Is my screen with oh no, I probably have the aerial up.
there you are.
Here's the aerial.
Yeah,
But there's a proposed intake right in front of the business too, so.
oh, wow.
And Justin, is that a low point? I'm not.
No,
sure.
that's not a low point. And I think that at one point that sewer had to jog across the street before we moved it to the east side of 35th for phase 1. So there's probably some play on where that intake actually goes now. So that's something we'll probably adjust. I'm not too worried about putting that. I don't want to put that right in front of the driveway.
Okay.
And Becky, I know we've talked before. I know
Yeah.
when you were asking about phase 1.
Right.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to brainstorm some ways to work around or
Sure.
make some things a little easier. But
And I understand this now. I remember saying, well, why are they doing phase 3 before 1 and 2? But now after watching this, I perfectly understand that. So I thought it was all just up 35th Street. Okay. I'm going to take my hand off and mute myself, okay?
So Justin, just to clarify this, and is my plan sheet showing Justin or Dave?
Yes.
So yeah, this intake will be we can move this then, so it's away from the driveway. Just so we're not right in front there. That's good. So then really the issue is just when we're building the driveway and stuff right in front of the access.
The other issue is that you're getting kind of deep with the sewer at that location as well.
Yeah.
To tie into the existing box. So there's some things we need to work out. So.
Okay. Good. No, it's good information. Thank you, Becky. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions? And I'm going to scroll back down to Justin's information. Oh, I must have, there we go. Okay, Justin Miller, phone number 515-283-4933. Again, 515-283-4933. JW Miller, JWMILLER at dmgov.org. If you want to email them. And again, we also, I encourage you, www.dsm.city, engineering department, projects and studies. You can find a lot of more information as well. That's where we're going to post this video, but also please don't hesitate to reach out to Justin if you have any concerns, questions, comments, as we work toward, again, our steps are to work toward preparing design plans and prepare bidding documents so we could bid this project in the spring, start construction in the summer of 22. So it's a 2-season project that'll go through 2023. Obviously, we don't anticipate the blue to be under construction the whole time, but it'll kind of work in a phased manner. But generally, it's a 1.5 year project, or 2-season project, I should say. Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? Dave, Justin, Patrick, Tom, did you miss anything at all?
I don't think so. I just thank you everyone for the questions.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone's time. I can't thank you enough. This is what we want to hear. We want to hear the questions, concerns, comments, because this is how we can kind of work, try and prepare and anticipate, and adjust as needed as we go into this. Again, we know it's impactful. I'm a fellow Des Moines resident, and they have construction in front of near my house as well, and it's impactful to say the least. So we want to try and figure out ways we can try and minimize that impacts and accommodate as much as we can. So when it's done, it'll be great. But we know during it, it's tough. So, all right. That being said, it's again, I can't thank everyone enough for their time. If you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Justin. Oh, Ian, let me grab Ian. Ian?
Yeah, I just had a question. I I think I emailed Justin this right away. We actually just bought the house that we're in March, and earlier this summer it looked like what was some sewage coming up between the joints of our driveway and the sidewalk. And I was almost going to get an inspector to come out to kind of look at that to see what that was, but it hasn't happened again. I don't know if it's going to be a part of this project to inspect the existing sewer to see if there's any cracks.
Yeah, as part of the entire, now, do you know it was sewage or was it water?
I mean,
or?
it was sewage. I found some wipes and obvious signs of sewage, and it smelled like poop. So
Coming up through the cracks of the driveway?
yeah, I have some pictures that I can email to you.
Okay.
And as I try to do, just some inspection, but we didn't have any backups in our downstairs anywhere. So I was just kind of wondering if that was going to be a part of that. I'd just be interested to see if that was an issue or if it was just a spill from somebody.
So
it actually happened twice.
So what we might, so you emailed like your address to Justin already? So
yeah.
okay, so what we did do as part of the initial overall arching project is we did have all of the sanitary sewers in the project area, phase 1, 2, and 3, all televised, just so we didn't get through this whole job, do all this work, and then realize, oh, we need to redo something with the sanitary. So we have those videos. We are reviewing those as well. And so we can look at those along with your information and work with our public works folks to see if they've had any other complaints or similar issues in the area as well. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Ian, if you could email me again that info. I just went through my inbox here real quick just to see if I had anything from you, and maybe it didn't make its way to me, but
it might not have been. It might not have been Justin. I can look again and see.
Could you email? Do you see Justin's email up here? The JW Miller at DM.org. Or if you could maybe forward that info to Justin or Alicia, make sure he gets it, and that way he can work with Patrick and the other public works team members. And
and I actually, I'll just do it right now. I sent it I sent it to Melissa. That was her number.
Oh, I wonder if that's Melissa Schlichtenberg with the WRA, Wastewater Reclamation Authority, maybe.
well, if you get it to Justin, we'll get it.
Yeah, as long as he gets it to Justin, then we can
work with it from there. So.
Yeah.
Yep. I just sent it over to Justin's email. So
thank you, Ian. Thank you.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right. Well, everyone, again, thank you all so much for your time. We appreciate this. And again, if you think of anything else afterwards, feel free to get a hold of Justin and we can take it from there. Okay. Thank you all. I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.